Good morning, friends. It is a beautiful day in Wilson County. I can see a little bit of blue sky breaking through, visible behind the clouds. But today, I think even the clouds are pretty. And so I hope whatever your day is holding for you right now is, you can already see it as an absolute gift. And so today is yet another lesson from this season that we're in. For those of you who might be joining us for the very first time, I'm Sandra Clay. I'm the pastor at Cook's United Methodist Church. And this is a new thing for me, learning how to do this, to share with you live, and to feel comfortable. Well, I haven't learned how to feel comfortable doing it yet, but I'm working on that. I'm trying, and I'm showing up, and you're showing up, and we get to start our day this way, and I'm grateful for that. I want to do kind of what I did yesterday, and that is to tell you a story or two first before we ease into the lesson, because it's hard. The one for today is hard. It was on my list, but I also heard some resonance with a couple of folks I had conversation with earlier this week, and so I want to start with a funny and a horrific at the same time. A couple of years ago, the next cousin in line with me in my generation on my dad's side of the family succumbed to a lot of complications from the flu. And you talk about a surprise, horrible surprise. Tracy was one of those that I came to believe that she could endure and become victorious through anything in her life, and not so with this. And so as my husband and I were traveling back to my grandparents' hometown, my grandparents' home rather, where her service would be, I asked if he could drive me by my grandparents' old home place. And as we kind of turned the corner, we came in the back way in McKenzie, and so as we came up over the little rise and we turned that corner, I was startled to realize that their home was not there. It had been torn down, and the rightful owners of that place had built a new beautiful home right there where love was. And I am glad that somebody else is experiencing love on a place, in a place that was such love for me. But to not be prepared for that, I understood for the very first time in a deeper truth that you can't go home again. The title of that lesson that many of us have a hard time learning, "You Can't Go Home Again," was a Thomas Wolfe novel that was published in 1940. It was published posthumously by his editor, with the understanding that you can try to return to a place that you remember from your past, but it's not ever going to be the same as you remember. And that leads me to the lesson. I'll tell you the funny part in a minute. The lesson is this, and Edna and I were speaking on Monday or Tuesday. There will be no going back to normal, my friends. That's not a bad thing, because the truth of the matter is our old normal wasn't completely good. What I mean is, often it was easy for us to think of the church as a building, and that somehow I wasn't always a part of it, meaning I don't have responsibilities. We also, normal for some of us was that I am not an essential member of the body. Some are more important than others. Not true. Another part of normal that was not good, at least from the practice of faith side of things, that tradition is about preference, and that is not true. That worship is about I have to have it my way in order for me to offer myself to God. Not true. That makes worship about you, not about God. I think another thing that's not good, that we should not return to, is serving out of a sense of obligation, or as if I'm doing something for God that God's not capable of on God's own. No, 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 no. When we serve, we are doing that to God. So when we do that with superiority or with a sense of obligation, when we are a little less than loving, then we need to learn something new. It's not all that hard, though. All of the things that I just named are really hard. They're difficult pills to swallow. Here's the funny. So my parents were really good at helping us discover new foods and appreciate what the ground produces, and to be grateful for what we have. And one night in particular, I would close my eyes and I can imagine sitting right there at our little dining table, and my sister was always to my right, I was to her left, and Mom had made 2 vegetables for dinner that night that looked very similar. And my sister made the pronouncement that she didn't like this. And she pointed to what I thought were Mom's phenomenal potatoes. And so I told her I'd be glad to eat them for her. And I closed my eyes and I opened my mouth and I leaned toward my sister, and she shoved a rutabaga in my mouth. Oh my goodness, that's the one thing I have still not learned to appreciate. And I can remember thinking the next time my mom served potatoes and or rutabagas is being really careful to make sure that what I was seeing was what I thought I was seeing. Which makes me think of this verse, crazy as that sounds. In Isaiah 43, the prophet says to us on behalf of God, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I'm making a way in the wilderness, streams in the wasteland." Maybe your translation says desert. But Isaiah is telling us on behalf of God, with God's own words and message, that I will make a way where there seems to be no way, and I'm going to provide in the place where you think, where you perceive, where you believe provision is not possible. We've just spent 2 weeks together thinking about all of the newness, which is really not new. It's just new for us. We've forgotten, now we remember, or we were too hard-headed to receive it, and now we're learning it. And that is a slower, more deliberate pace enables us to find joy no matter the circumstance. Learning how to care for ourselves, not just our body as a temple, but our mind and our souls as a place where God resides. We started with learning how to appreciate the silence, and I would stretch that to mean appreciating those things that make us discomforted, that we might be aware of the new that God is doing. We've talked about the power of breaking bread or sharing life together, when so much of life before, the normals that we would kind of like to go back to in some respects, was about doing it the way we wanted to do it instead of truly sharing life together. We've also talked about how important we've rediscovered it is to tell ourselves the truth. Our problems are not really problems, and so if you want to talk about your aggravation and your inconvenience, go ahead, but let's call it what it is. It ain't a problem. And so learning how to live in the truth enables us then in a new way to respect the holiness of touch, and to let go of the need to control, to let go of that feeling that I should insist on being able to do this because I'm that smart. It intrigues me that this morning on one of the morning news shows, they're talking about the reopening of one of the Six Flags institutions. It ain't gonna be like it used to be. We're not going home, friends. We're not going home, but that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing that we don't cram 50 people into a place where 25 will fit and we'll still have a good time. It's not a bad thing that we have to be mindful that my germs could make you sick. And that I don't really know what kind of germs I'm hosting at this particular point in time. We can think about one another and be hospitable. Do you see the new that God is doing in all of this for us to learn a deeper level of honor and respect for one another, responsibility to be encouraging and not just nice, for us to figure out how to companion one another, even when I don't understand where you came from and what you're feeling right now, such as dealing with my own ignorance about white privilege, and that I don't understand the kind of threat and defeat that often my brothers and sisters of color deal with in life, because I skate right by it. We may not be able to go home again, go back to normal, but that is not a bad thing, my friends. For us to learn how to embrace the new, okay, here's the hard part, is to welcome change. Now, I actually heard that one of our congregants here at Cook's has said, I'm not coming back until I can worship the way we worship in the sanctuary. Well, girlfriend, I'm just gonna tell you right now, you ain't gonna be back for a long time, maybe ever, if that's the standard that you are hoping for, because we're not gonna be able to do it that way anymore. We cannot indiscriminately claim our place without thought of others. We cannot insist on our way of singing, of sharing liturgy, all of those things, but that's not a bad thing. Maybe when we can relax and let go, the something new will be a new truth, a new discovery, a new level of grace that begins to grow in you and me. I want to encourage you to do something today. Make you a list of 5 to 7 things that you will choose to be okay with if we never go back to. What is it that needs to be uprooted so that something new can grow and bloom? Maybe it's an attitude or a thought, a belief. I just saw a comment from a friend, and I just want to say, Janice, I know that that new thing happening in you, you never dreamed you'd be doing a video kind of like I'm doing right now to talk about what God is teaching you about prayer. But you did a phenomenal job, and you came alongside your brothers and sisters who were thinking the same thing, and now we will all be challenged to see the privilege and the joy of prayer for one another. God is longing to do something new. God is always up to something new. And if we have to have it the old, familiar, predictable, comfortable way, then God will never have full sway in us. I don't want that. And I don't want that for you, but I can't do anything about that. You've got to decide that you want God to do something new in you, for you, and through you. And so I'm just going to warn you now, I'm about to pray for God to give us a spirit of adventure, that we can embrace the new and not be afraid of change. Let's pray together. Lord, it's not just about COVID-19 that we have some anxiety about things changing in our world. We really would like this season of upset and disorientation to simply go away and us return to where we were most comfortable. But that would be to ignore what you are showing us, teaching us. It would be to ignore the pain of our brothers and sisters that we have heard given voice in new ways over the last few days. It would mean to turn aside from the wilderness and the wasteland that we call home, often gladly. What we long to do, Lord, is to have an adventurous spirit because of the depth of faith we have in you and your companionship, so that change is not a threat to us and it doesn't seem like a disservice, but instead it becomes an opportunity for us to see you more fully, to join you more fully in the work that you are doing to bring your kingdom to be in this place. And if we are kingdom people, if we are Pentecost people, then our songs will be different. Our actions will be different. Our determination and our commitment to live every daily moment would be different, because you are doing something new. Give us eyes that are looking for, not just able to see, but willing, hungry to see. Give us ears that will hear your good news even when it doesn't sound like a familiar ring. And give us the courage and energy, Lord, to follow you in new places, in new ways, knowing that what feels like wilderness will show us a path because you are there. And what feels like a wasteland or a desert now is actually enlivened by springs of your own creation. We trust you. We trust you. But it's time, Lord, for us to be able to show you that with more than just words. We need your Spirit. We need your Spirit. And we are so grateful that you entrust yourself to us that way. Let it all begin today, God. We want to see this new thing that you are doing and celebrate it even now. In the name of Jesus, help us celebrate the new things that you are doing. Amen. I hope that your day is filled with at least one thing new. That way we have an opportunity to practice what we're preaching, to practice living into that. And my friends, we won't be perfect, but what we practice, we get good at. As an aside, let me just say that I have practiced less complaining this week, but I still need a lot of prayer to let that go. I haven't not complained, but I have become more aware of when I do. For that I am sorry, but grateful at the same time. May something new happen in and through you today, because God is your best companion. See ya.